What's up, everybody? It's your boy Royal Ivey, and we're going for another episode of the brUTherhood with my geysers, DJ Augustin and Nick Shuley.
Yes, sir. What's up, y'all?
How's everybody doing, man?
Going good, man. I was telling Nick before you jumped on, just being a dad, man. Full-time dad, soccer games, tutoring, school is crazy, man.
So you're chasing around, babysitting. Well, it's not really considered babysitting because
you can't say
kids.
that. You get in trouble. Yeah. But nah, yeah, man. It's just busy, man. I was telling somebody the other day, like I feel more busy, like not playing basketball than when I was playing basketball. It's crazy.
Really, really.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how you.
How is
roles.
that? Like with the kids, with your wife, with your parents. I know your parents live in Houston as well, right?
Right. Yeah. It's good for me because I played 15 years. So for the last 15 years, I haven't been able to be home for certain like occasions, like let me say Thanksgiving, Christmas, you know, those type of things. I haven't been able to pick my kids up from school and bring them every day like I'm doing. Give baths, make breakfast, those little things, you know what I'm saying, that I'm able to do now that's, you know, I'm enjoying and they enjoy it. You know, taking a load off my wife. She's, you know, I understand and realize now, like, damn, you've been doing this for 15 years? Like, this is crazy, you know, because they do so much so that we're able to do our job, you know.
That's a fact.
The women in our life. And like you said, just being able to be home with my parents, my sisters, nephews, nieces, and just spend those quality time, those moments that I couldn't do it. I love it, man. I love it.
You're a civilian now. You're a regular citizen. Yeah. You can live a day-to-day life, go to the grocery store, go get your car clean, go pick up your own cleaners, go to the movies. Just, you know, people don't know that the time that we spend with basketball day in, day out, I mean, I'm doing it right now as a coach. It's a lot of time. And the people that are home, the wives, they must be commended because the jobs that they do day in, day out are very tough, you know, and we kind of take it for granted because we don't see it all the time. But now that you have to go through the process now, it's a little bit different. It's not as easy. So let's commend, you know, the wives, big ups to the wives, your wife, you know, for putting up with you and, you know, doing all the legwork that people don't see behind the scenes. And that's big respect. So shout out to Brandy. Much love.
For sure. Like you said, just taking it for granted, man. You take for granted because we so locked in and focused on doing our job, which is playing basketball and being ready for a game, training. Even in the summertime, like it's our off season, but we in the gym Monday through Sunday, you know, lifting, pickup, drills, like it's still nonstop. So, you know, just taking that for granted, man, the little things and the stuff they take off our plate so we can do our job and do it at a high level. It's different when you're home doing it full time, just like they were.
Big ups, and it's Mother's Day coming up. So happy Mother's Day!
Great way to start.
To all the mothers. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you. We wouldn't be here without you. So we want to give you your flowers right now and always and every day. So happy Mother's Day.
Absolutely.
Hey, Shules.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about the transfer portal. What's going on, man?
Man,
what's going on in Texas, man? What's my law? What's happening, man? A lot of things been shaking up.
Yeah, it was a big week for the Horns in the portal. I think since the last time we talked, I think they had Kaeden Shedrick, the kid from Virginia. But I think we got, in the meantime, since then, we got a huge pickup in Max Abmas, spelled A-B-M-A-S, but pronounced Abmas, and he was. A lot of y'all remember him from the NCAA tournament the last couple of years. He went off, and he was playing at Oral Roberts, averaged 21.9 points a game. He is the leading returning total scorer in college basketball, and Texas got him, and he's a spark plug.
He's a bucket. He gets buckets.
I don't think we've seen players like that since, you know, DJ or AJ Abrams or folks like that could really fill it up, and I think it's going to be huge, especially when we lost the lion's share of our scoring coming back.
Big time guard. He averaged 20.8 points per game last year and 29 points per game in 2022 2023. I got it flipped. 6 foot, 22 years old, so he's a seasoned veteran.
He's a super senior. This is his last year eligibility. And
he can score in all arrays. Like, he has the floater, he can shoot the deep ball, he can handle it, he can shoot off the dribble, like a little bit of everything. And he's a high octane scorer. Like, he's a big time scorer. So who do you put next to him? You know, is Tyrese Hunter coming back? You know, that's my question. Who do you pair him up? Because he's a smaller guard. So defensively, I don't know if he's inclined to be a real defender like that. He's, you know, you're putting him out there to get you 20 points per night. So
yep.
The kid from UTA, he's a freshman, right?
So he was a freshman. He's the freshman of the year in the WAC. I believe I got it wrong and then right and then wrong when I was talking it, or right when I was talking. So he was the freshman of the year in the WAC. And another Abmas was from Dallas Jesuit, and he's Weaver's another local, I believe, Dallas kid that played at UT Arlington and got freshman of the year in the WAC and averaged 9.5 points a game, 4.6 rebounds, and 2 assists. He's a spark plug. A lot of people have said that his comp for next year's team would be kind of last year's Jabari Rice, but I think there's a good chance that he could actually start next year as well, just because we need somebody like that that's a high octane player too, and you got to pair somebody up with Abmas, especially depending on what happens with Tyrese.
Right, you can't have 2 small guards in your backcourt, so you got to give us some, length, some height, some girth, pause.
Which I think is, the part of the team that's coming back that's going to be the strongest now is going to be the front court.
That's what I was gonna say, man. Just seeing the guys that they're bringing in, and seeing the guys that's returning, the front court is gonna be really experienced and pretty big, and then that gives room for guys like Max to, a smaller guard to come in and do his thing and not, he's gonna have to guard, but the emphasis won't be on, he's too small to guard. You know what I'm saying? So, yep. And I think he brings so much to the table offensively, we're not going to care too much about that part of the defensive side, as far as he goes. I mean, because he comes down, he can shoot the ball as soon as he crosses half court. Pick and roll, he's really good. He makes good decisions out of pick and roll. So, Roy, that's how college is played, and that's how the NBA level is played. Pick and roll is everything. So that's what I like most about him, watching his highlights, just the way he carried himself in the pick and roll on the floor. And I actually FaceTimed him. Coach RT called me, and he had me FaceTime him. And we had a quick conversation, but he just looks like a great kid. He knows what he wants to do. He looks locked in. And when I talked to him, I kind of knew he was coming to Texas just from, seeing his demeanor and, the things I was talking to him about. So just happy to have him.
You know who'd be a good person to speak to? Coach Russ Springman, the head coach at Oral Roberts right now. He coached Max. Great in the pick and rolls, but most of the time he's shooting. So he's a pretty good decision maker. Not going to turn the ball over pretty much. But Dylan DeSue is coming back. I think that's a big headliner. That's a big check for them. And then the Kaeden Shedrick, did I say that right? Yeah, yep. From Virginia. More. Do you see him starting back up? What is his role? I know he's a, rim roller, rebounder, rim protector. He's long. He shot 65.6% in field goals, averaged 3.5 rebounds, and only averaged 5.9 points per game. They're not really looking for him to really score. He's probably going to be the anchor of the defense, and hopefully he could defend because Kansas got a big-time recruit and Hunter Dickinson.
Yeah, and they got Arterio Morris from our squad last year.
Let's talk about Arterio Morris transferring. Did that have an effect on Ron Holland's leaving? Like, people are speculating that is the case because you got 2 McDonald's All-Americans from Dallas. That's the connection. So, let's talk about that.
Look, who knows? I think, everything at this point is speculation. I think that that's been the rumor out there is that folks have been in the ear of him and talking about how Texas didn't develop Dylan Mitchell and Arterio Morris this year. And so I think that's been kind of the speculation, and who knows what's going to happen if he's going to end up going pro. There's a lot of speculation about Arkansas, some other spots.
Let me, not to cut you off, but
no, please.
Is it the development, or is the fact that they didn't play heavy minutes as freshmen coming in as McDonald All-Americans?
Well, I think it's both, right? I think they're saying those as similar things, and I think both of those guys expected to come in here and completely dominate. And I think, look, I think Mitchell had a big year. I do think Arterio did kind of, suffer a little bit of the minutes because we were pretty stacked at the guard spot. But he also, if you guys remember, went through some legal things at the start of the year that I think set things back a little bit for him when Beard was around. But who knows? I hadn't heard any of that disgruntled, thing happening during the season, but you never know. That's not something people are usually going to come out and tell you just randomly.
Right. But
see, this my thing. This my thing now with guys, and no disrespect to nobody, but I feel like nowadays guys don't want to wait their turn, kind of. Back when we played, if you came in as a freshman or whatever and you was expecting to play or whatever and things didn't go in your favor, you're going to go harder. You're going to come back next year and you're going to earn your spot, right? That's how we came up, But I think guys nowadays, not calling anybody out, but if things don't go their way, they're running to the next situation where the grass isn't always greener. You don't know what you're going into next. When, if you stick around, work hard, wait your turn, and when it's your turn, you shine and things work out in your favor. I think
turn up.
Yeah, I just think that's just all around, not just college basketball. I think in general, just the generation we in, NBA, college, whatever, high school, AAU, all those things. These guys they put in the work, but they don't want to put in the work and work their turn. And when their number is called, they're ready to perform. That's how.
Like in the pros, right? Like you guys don't have that out clause, right? It's like you're in your contract, you're doing it. You can't just sit there and say, I'm out, I'm switching
you're getting paid for it. You're getting you're getting this money to go out and perform and be a professional.
But see, that's the problem.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, the problem for me is the expectations. That's what happens. Expectations lead to disappointment, instant gratification. These guys are told certain things and they expect it's supposed to go this way because I'm a McDonald's All-American. Guess what? When you come to college, it starts all over. So you have to wait your turn. And then guys with the transfer portal now, guys been transferring since we were playing because lack of minutes or lack of communication from the coach. But at the same time, it's the expectation. And then on the flip side, I don't know what coaches are doing, but are they lying to kids and telling kids, well, you're going to play 30 minutes and that's not the case? So we don't know. I'm not sitting behind that door, but the expectation part is what's killing it. You got to go out there and earn. You got to go out there and grind. You got to go out there and prove it again and again and again. Because when you get to the next level, guess what? You start all over again. And then you got to prove yourself again. So like, if you have this mentality and this mindset right now that, oh, they're supposed to give it to me, you're going to be in a rude awakening when you get to the big boy league. Because that's the NBA, no boys allowed. So
well, and it goes both ways though. I think the fact that Weaver got the opportunity, Chendall Weaver got the opportunity he did. He was a kid that he played against Arterio like growing up and in high school. They guarded each other, and Chendall ends up going to UT Arlington. Arterio ends up at Texas. Things don't work out. Arterio flips to Kansas and gives Chendall, this kid that worked his butt off and played hard this year, he's got the opportunity now to jump up and play for Texas. And I think that's the good side and some of the good things that are happening. But you're right. It's, having this out clause where I can instantly transfer. I think it's a great thing for the kids so they're not tied to a program. But I think in certain situations, it's going to hurt them when they're just like, cool, I don't like it here, I'm out. Right. I don't like it here, I'm out.
Yeah, you can't run from competition.
Yeah, and like you said, Roy, you use the word earn. Like, I kid you not, that's one of the main reasons why I went to Texas is because I'll never forget on my recruiting visit, the dinner we had with Coach Barnes, my dad asked him, will my son start or will my son come off the bench? And I'll never forget, RB told my dad straight up, he's going to have to earn whatever he gets. And that was one of the main reasons I went to Texas, because that's the type of person I am. I want to earn everything I get, you know what I'm saying? So it goes back to that.
That's big, you know, like when I came to Texas, I took the last scholarship. They had one scholarship left and they were looking to fill it with a guard. And I was basically a body, like an extra body. And I went in there and I carved me up a situation. I went out there, never played point guard. That's the thing. Never played point guard in New York. Was always 2, 3 utility guy. Came in there and Rick Barnes sat me down, was like, son, you want to play? And I was like, yeah. He was like, well, you got to play point guard this year. And I was like, why? Because he said, if you don't, we got a kid by the name of TJ Ford coming in next year, and he's pretty good. So you need to learn how to play the point guard for this year, and then we'll see what happens next year.
Right.
And guess what? I learned how to play that point guard real quick, man. But at the same time, I had to grind. I had to carve out a niche for myself, and nobody guaranteed me anything. They just guaranteed me a scholarship. That's all I wanted once I got in the door. And you give me the opportunity, I'm going to run with it. So at the end of the day, it's all the mindset and the mentality. Nothing is gifted in this life. You have to earn things.
Well, I think, guys, talk about that. I think it'll actually, you know, put some, like, shine some light on the Ron Holland situation or the Arterio situation. I think talk about the process, you know, like when you guys first started getting recruiting, how it went, why you chose Texas. I think a lot of people would be really interested in that. And I think it'll help them understand, you know, why people's thought processes are as they are and the decisions they make.
Go ahead, Roy.
I'll talk about my story. I went to prep school in New Jersey, Blair Academy, after 4 years of high school, because my parents thought I was too immature to go to college. So I was 17 at the time, and I had a bunch of low majors to mid majors, BU, Marist, Rider. Most people from Texas don't even know about these schools because they're in the Northeast. But anyway, I basically was gonna commit to BU, and then I decided to go to prep school. So that helped me get another year, get stronger, get faster. And originally I was gonna commit to Northwestern, but my SAT score wasn't high enough, so that was a bummer. And Texas came in last minute. This is in April. Wanted me to come on a visit. Rob Lanier was the assistant coach at the time. He's the head coach at SMU right now. And he was like, yeah, you know, I saw you when I was at Rutgers. I like your game. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, we want you to come. You know, we got a scholarship left. So I took that visit. And once I got off that plane, I fell in love with Texas. I was like, this is the place for me. I came there, you know, no expectations, no anything. And like I said, I carved myself out a pretty nice career at Texas. But I was a second, you know, I was probably a no-star player, not even ranked in the country. And all I wanted to do is have the opportunity to play at a Power 5. And I said, whoever gave me that opportunity, I'm going to show out. And that's what I did. I carved myself a niche as a defensive specialist, a defensive player. And everything else was history, but nobody guaranteed me anything. You know, funny fact, my dad, we played Duke my freshman year, and my dad went to Coach Ball and was like, why you recruiting my son? He ain't no good. And then after the Duke game, he goes, he pretty good, huh? But like, I'm an overachiever in life, and all I ask for is opportunity in anything, in any phase of my life, you know, and I'm going to run with it. So that's my little recruiting story.
Roy, who else was in that class with you? I remember when you showed up on campus, and I was like, oh, well, this is cool. We got a New York kid, you know, because we'd had success with Rensher and Freeman.
New York is Texas to New York is a big pipeline, you know. Terrence Rensher, Reggie Freeman, you know, those guys, they came before me. We have a great lineage of, you know, Texas to New York. So, you know, I used to watch Free, you know, because he's a big time New York guy, you know.
Rice High School, right?
Rice High School.
Yeah.
And every time you said Texas, in New York, everybody would be like Texas A&M. No, I'm like, University of Texas. Then they would like Texas University. I'm like, nah, you got it wrong, bro. Chill out. But Brandon Mouton, James Thomas, Schenectady, New York.
Yeah, another New York.
Jason Klotz, Brian Boddicker, Duncanville. We had a nice squad. We came in, you know, pretty deep. Drew Gressett was a freshman, you know.
Shout out Hat Creek Burgers.
Yeah, Hat Creek. Shout out to Hat Creek. But we had a nice little class, and it was probably ranked in the country, but nobody expected us to do what we did when we came to Texas. Because he played all the young guys, and we got better. We got a chance to play together and mold, and that molded us and our style
of play. Yeah, that was the nucleus of that Final Four
our camaraderie. And then you had guys that they didn't guys weren't transferring. You know, guys, we didn't have one and done guys. So, you know, I was a 4-year player at college. It's a little bit different. So you got the chemistry part versus, you know, the DJ Augustines going to school 1 year and then bouncing, you know. I ain't mad at that because if I had the opportunity to, I'd be out too. But, you know, it's a little bit different story. And I'm just glad to be a part of this story. You know, University of Texas has done great for me and my family. And I'm forever indebted to, you know, them hook 'em on peoples, them hook 'em on bros. So
people forget, man, you guys had a big transfer on that squad too. Wasn't Dej Erskine?
Oh, Deginald Erskine.
He was a transfer and he was a big piece of that.
Yeah, North Texas. I love Dej, man. We were roommates. We had 5 guys in a 2-bedroom at one point, you know, sleeping on mattresses, grinding, you know, collecting our scholarship checks and going out to eat and going out to 6th Street. But Dej was a great glue guy, tough as nails, rebounder, could guard 1 through 5, just was an energy plug, was athletic, would finish on you. He did all the little intangible things. He was a great glue guy, and Dej actually started a few games. He transferred in as a junior and a senior, and he's a part of that Final Four team, I believe.
Yep.
So
yeah, he was the Jabari of y'all squad, in my opinion. Like he was kind of the spark plug that came in and really shifted things.
For sure, he's very underrated. Very underrated. He was our real tough guy. Like he really laid the line and a demarcation. It was like, nah, y'all not stepping over here. It would be a problem, bro.
Well, DJ, go through your story. I think yours will be pretty interesting. I think it's kind of the opposite end of the spectrum of Roy's, of like, you know, being one of the top recruits in the nation and, you know, heralded and McDonald's All-American, like you see right behind you.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. You know, we all have different journeys. It's you know, it teaches us and molds us, you know, when we reach our destination, you know, you can look back and be like, dang, you know, I did a lot to get here and be proud of what you did, you know, especially Roy. You know, his journey to the league and what he's doing now is, you know, is tremendous. For me, you know, I'm from New Orleans, so, you know.
Say it, baby.
You know, when you think about New Orleans, you think about Mardi Gras, Bourbon Street, you know, crawfish. You don't think about basketball. So, like
football.
Right, yeah. Like New York, you know, they got hoopers. But, like, New Orleans, like, I remember I went to my freshman year. That was my first camp ever going to, ABCD camp. I don't know, Roy, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, T-Mac. T-Mac, New Jersey, yep.
But T-Mac, you had to get an invite from T-Mac, you know, because he was with Adidas at the time. And I remember going to that camp, man. I was unknown, unranked. I went to that camp and I killed everybody in front of me, every point guard, everybody. And I left that camp and I was like the #1 point guard in the country from my freshman year all the way to my senior year. And once that happened, I just started getting letters out the ass like North Carolina, just stuff you see on TV, like as a young basketball player that you don't think will ever happen to you. Like they're showing up at my house in the mailbox. My mailbox is overflowing with mail from all the top schools, you know, that you saw guys you looked up to go to. And it was kind of crazy for my whole household, not just me, my mom, my dad, everybody. It was just so excited and so overwhelmed, you know, and it was tough because, you know, we didn't have anybody to talk to like figure out how to go about, you know, going through recruiting, because it's different. You got coaches calling your phone. You got coaches was just showing up at my school unannounced, you know, and it was crazy, man. You know, and then, you know, I never forget, Katrina happened. Obviously, we know what happened with that. I had to move to Texas, and I finished my career in Texas. I ended up becoming a McDonald's All-American, and right before that game, I had to make a decision on where I was going to go, and it was actually between, I narrowed it down between North Carolina and Texas.
Wow.
And LSU. I'm sorry, LSU was 3. And right before I was supposed to go on my visit to North Carolina, Ty Lawson committed. And at the time, he moved ahead of me as the #1 point guard. I was #2.
So you didn't want that comp. So that's why you go to North Carolina.
I would have went there and competed, and you know, come on now.
I'm joking.
Yeah, it wasn't about that. It's whatever. So I would have went there and did my thing, regardless of who was going. But when I saw him go, I was like, well, I felt like, well, if he's committing there, y'all taking him, why would y'all still want me to come on a visit and all that? Like, obviously, he's #1, I'm #2. Like, why would I go there? So that kind of X'd them out. So now it's LSU or Texas. I'm from Louisiana. So everybody's expecting me to go to LSU. And, you know, I did my visits. You know, I did what I had to do. And like I said, you know, we talk about the brotherhood. We talk about the family and all that stuff. And just when I went to Texas, man, that's all I felt. And that's the type of person I am. That's the type of family I come from. And that's all I felt, from Coach Ty to Coach Springman to RT, Rick Barnes, just everybody. I'm probably missing people, but just you felt that family environment. You felt that brotherhood. And, you know, I had relationships with some of the players at LSU already. Big Baby, Garrett Temple, Tyrus Thomas. I already knew those guys. Tasman Mitchell, we played AAU together.
Yeah, LSU was unstoppable back then. People forget that.
Yeah,
if they would have added you to that, wow, that would have been different.
So I already had relationships with those players. I knew them already. We was friends. But I had to make a decision for myself that I thought was best for my career, what was next in basketball. And after visiting Austin and seeing how beautiful it is and meeting the people and the facilities, it was over with, man. And KD committed. Yeah. I'm like, oh.
Once you get off that plane, I already committed. Once I got off that plane, I was like, I'm coming.
Yeah. So
did you and KD know each other pretty well at that point, DJ, or is that more once you kind of got locked into Texas?
Yeah, I didn't know KD before that. We met at the McDonald's game. We was in the same class together. And then when we went to Texas, when we got to school for summer school and summer workouts, we actually ended up being roommates. And we shared a dorm together, and we just became super close, like brothers. And you know, the rest was history.
So during the McDonald's game, y'all weren't, you know, conjuring up whether you gonna come to Texas, yo, he wasn't trying to recruit you and anything like that?
I wanted to commit before the game.
Oh, you did commit.
So I made my decision before the McDonald's game. So I was ready, committed, which was one of the hardest decisions I ever had to make because I'm leaving home, Louisiana, to go to Austin. You know, it was tough, man. It was a scary moment. Probably one of the hardest decisions I ever had to make. You know, but I did what was best for me, and it worked out. And like I said,
you made a good decision.
Great decision. Yeah. So, you know, me and KD, we talked a little bit at the McDonald's game, but there's so much going on, so many cameras and people, and you know, you hanging out with different guys. We didn't really like click up and get close until we ended up coming to summer school.
DJ, do you think Katrina played a part in how you ended up at Texas, like actually being in Texas at that point in Houston, and getting to what? I mean, were there some of the older guys that started talking to you about Texas or anything like that, or was it just more, this is my feeling and I'm going here?
Yeah, you know, that's a good, I mean, Nick, you know, a lot of people felt like if it wasn't for Katrina, I would have went to LSU. That's what a lot of people said and felt, but it really wasn't. It was like really off of me and what I felt from going to Austin and being with coaches and players and going, like I said, I already knew these guys at LSU.
Who was the head coach at LSU at the time?
Tom Brady.
Okay.
Tom Brady, Butch Pierre recruited me. I actually saw Butch the other day at a Rockets game. We talked for a long time, man. Great guy. But it was nothing personal. It was just like, I felt like Texas and what I felt when I was there, that family, that brotherhood, that everything, just like, man, this is where I'm going. I got off there, I got back home. I told my parents, I was like, I'm going to Texas. and they know I'm the type of person, when I say something, I'm doing it.
You're going to do it.
Regardless.
Well, I think that's why Austin's blown up so much, right? You walk off the plane here and like you start to see this place and it's like if you're a kid in college, you've got this amazing university that also has this incredible, you know, nightlife, restaurants, you know, tons of stuff to do, easy ways to get in trouble and have fun. But it's a tough place to leave. And I think that's the thing, is that once they get kids on campus, and especially, you know, I think with a lot of these transfers, I bet it is that you land in Austin, you're like, damn, this place is pretty great.
I mean, the culture behind Austin is liberal. It's the live, music capital of the world. The food is great. The people are friendly. It doesn't really feel like Texas, to quite be honest. It's a little, the ambiance is a little bit different. You got the lakes, Lake Travis, Lake Austin. It's a vibe, man. It's a real vibe, like, you know, and I always tell myself when I'm done coaching and I'm, you know, just chilling with my family and my wife, soon-to-be wife, that I want to retire in Austin, because life is full circle, and I kind of started, you know, my development as a man in Austin. And, you know, when I'm old and gray and rattled and run down, I want to end in Austin. So it's definitely a great place to raise a family. It's a great environment. It's a great campus, because it doesn't really have a campus feel. It's like you're not going into this one city and that's the whole school. You know, you got downtown, you got Congress. You know, Austin, it's dope, man. If you never been to Austin and you listen to the pod, get yourself a ticket. Come down to Austin, go have some barbecue. My favorite barbecue is probably Rudy's. It's the cheapest one. I survived on Rudy's in school.
Is the Iron, what is it called?
Ironworks.
Is Ironworks still open?
Ironworks is fire.
That's what they
was giving y'all free food. That's why.
They got in trouble for that, dog.
Did they really?
Yeah, they got in trouble. Because, you know, back then there was no NIL and all that. It was like, if you give somebody a player something, you in trouble. So they was giving us free barbecue a few times, but, you know,
Salt Lick. Yeah, Salt Lick. In Driftwood,
Yeah, now they got Franklin's barbecues, like blowing up at like #1 in the U.S. And they got some, I mean, there's a bunch of new spots too.
Lambert's.
I tell people all the time,
free promo, man.
I tell people all the time. I'm like, look, you got to go to Austin. If you never been, like, I love it because when I go there, I don't feel like I'm in Texas. Like, it feel like you in like California.
It's the California, Texas.
Like somewhere like that. It's like, I love it, bro. I love it. I love it, man.
Yeah, I was talking to one of the football kids that graduated this past year, and he was going on some visits with a younger guy that was on his team he transferred from, and they were doing some visits at some of the SEC schools. And I think that he was saying he came from a smaller school, then came to Texas, and he was going on these visits with them, and he came back from that and was like, dang, man, Austin's so much different. Because look, the SEC schools have great campuses, they're great towns, but that they are just that, right? They're most of them, minus probably, you know, get yelled at for this, probably Vanderbilt, you know, in Nashville. Most of them don't. Most of them, almost everything in that town revolves around the school.
It's college town.
Yeah, they're just college towns, but they're great. Look, Georgia's a fantastic town. Auburn, all these places are great places to visit, but they don't have that big city behind them that has so much else going on outside of the university. I think that's the big plus of Austin, is you've got this school that takes up an enormous piece of the city. But then you got tons of other stuff going on to where a lot of people don't even know. I
mean, F1 is down there. Like I started watching F1. I love F1, man. I love F1.
You got to come down for it,
man.
That's
the race car stuff?
That's like the big boys.
Oh, it's during the season. Yeah,
it's October, so I'm gonna miss out. And then Miami's actually this weekend. Tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much between ACL, South by Southwest. Like, there's just major events, and nowadays, like, there's something big every weekend. I had a buddy who was in town, or it was one of the guys I work with, who came in town on a Tuesday, and he said that the cheapest hotel room he could find downtown was $1,100 that weekend, and it was because there's a big conference going on. But it's just, there's constantly so much stuff happening here that, I mean, and not to scare people off, it's not usually $1,100 for a hotel room here, but
DJ,
it's not what it was. What's that?
We should have got some property.
We should have bought some. We should have bought some before Amazon and Tesla got down there. We'd have been straight.
we just should conjure up some change.
It's never too late, bro. We could go to Dripping Springs or somewhere.
Man, Dripping Springs is exploding. Kyle's exploding.
That's
like
right.
All these places.
Let's go buy some land in Dripping Springs.
Dude, the South Side's where all the creative classes. Yeah, all the creative classes moved down to the South Side, and a lot of people are pushing towards Kyle, New Braunfels, and all the way to San Antonio. San Antonio is getting even bigger because a lot of the people who can't afford land, et cetera, are moving down there, looking to start businesses there. It's just, it's exploding here. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So we had some unfortunate news this week. A Longhorn legend, Lance Blank, died on May the 3rd, if I stand corrected. 56 years old. Was a personal friend of mine. I spent numerous times on the phone with Lance during COVID, just helping me with multiple situations, and was a great guy. Was a scout with the Clippers. Was a GM with the Phoenix Suns. Worked in the Spurs organization. Worked with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Started his journey at the University of Virginia and then transferred into Texas. He holds the highest number of points by a second or two-year player. He's 8th all-time on the scoring list, 1st in steals, 4th in scoring averages at 20 points per game, and was inducted into the Hall of Honor in 2007. Lance Blanks, we call him LB. PJ Tucker had a real personal connection with Lance. Lance actually brought PJ back into the league from overseas and gave him an opportunity, which he's still running with right now. And when PJ found out the news, he was devastated, just like all of us were. When I found out the news, I was definitely crushed. Humble soul, one of the nicest, genuine souls you could be around. We will miss him. Lance, part of the BMW scoring machine. Lance Blanks, Travis Mays, Joey Wright. In that 1989-90 season, they went to the Elite Eight. A lot of memories with Lance. Lance used to come up to the rec and pick on us as freshmen. Him and Travis Mays used to run the gym, and I'm like, these old guys could still play? And, you know, that was kind of the culture that we wanted to continue on, TJ and I, because of Lance Blank and Travis Mays and Joey Wright and, you know, Chico Vasquez and these guys coming back. And we didn't have a practice facility back then. We used to practice at the rec and have open gym at the rec. And Lance was one of those guys coming back every summer when I was a freshman and a sophomore. So he showed us the way how to give back. You don't give back monetary, you give back with your time and your effort and your care and be kind. And we love you, Lance. That's really all I got really to say right now, kind of holding back some tears, but he was a great person and would truly be missed. And I want to send my condolences out to his family, his 2 daughters. May they have peace.
Yeah, I think for, I'll bring it from the fan perspective, I think, and just from being around the, you know, like players like y'all, et cetera. He's one of those people who no one ever had a bad thing to say about. Everything was just bright, amazing. And so, you know, I think you know, every time you lose someone, it hurts, but this is, you know, he's a big loss. And I think just from my perspective, those are the first games I remember when I was younger, and that, like, you know, gave me such a love for basketball, watching, you know, Lance and Travis and Joey and those guys. And I remember I had the BMW shirt, and it was, you know, it was a big deal in Austin. And it was the first time I felt a real connection. So, I mean, I didn't even have a personal connection with him. I met him a couple times, but just someone who, it had a huge, huge influence on the trajectory of the program and the university and where things were. And yeah, that's a huge, huge loss.
Yeah. When I think of Lance, I just, the word selfless, like that's what pops up in my head, because it was never about him. It was always about you. Like, what do you need in this moment? What can I do for you? And, I'll just remember those phone calls over COVID when everybody's losing their mind. And I was in a situation I can't really talk about, but he helped me and he guided me through that situation. And, I'm forever indebted to him. And, I want to thank him, from the bottom of my heart. And I appreciate you. So,
yeah, well said. I think on a brighter note, there was one thing I wanted to bring up on, as far as the program, et cetera. I think a huge congratulations goes out to Timmy Allen, to Christian Bishop, and to Dylan Dessou, who graduated this weekend. So, a shout out to those guys for finishing up. I was, texting them, telling them congrats, and that's a special group of guys, and I'm happy to have Dylan back, but I'm gonna miss the heck out of Timmy and Christian. Those guys could light up a room, man. They are some of I have a lot of good stuff to say about a lot of the team last year, and those guys are just constant happy, always excited to be where they are at that moment, and just really invest in humans. And I can't say anything better about any humans than those guys. I'm gonna miss them being around, and I'm excited to kind of follow where they go in the future.
Good luck, fellas, man. We're proud of you. You always be a horn. Hook 'em, man. That's a great accomplishment, getting that diploma. At the end of the day, you got your paperwork. Now it's time to go.
Hey guys, I think before we wrap, I definitely want to give I know we kind of left it out, but we the other big transfer we got, and we can kind of add this in, is Ze'Rik Onyema.
Yeah, whoa. Before we go to Ze'Rik, my guy coming from UTEP, let's talk about the A.J. Johnson situation. So let's fill people into what happened with that situation. Did that trigger Ron Holland to leave as well? Those two guys coming in, was AJ a McDonald's All-American? He's top 30.
He wasn't. He was kind of a high ceiling guy, but I think he's four-star recruit. I think Ron was definitely the McDonald's All-American, the biggest recruit in that class. But AJ has the kid can play, and I mean he's with Jalen Green's little brother, and I think part of the thing that a lot of people, at least like fan wise, were worried about was, hey, now that Beard's gone and we don't know who the coach is going to be, can we hold this recruiting class together? Because you got these two special kids coming in, and I think a lot of people felt that some of the reason that to keep RT around, look, I think there are a lot of reasons, and I'm glad we did, but a lot of people were worried about holding that recruiting class together, and RT did a heck of a job holding it together and keeping them throughout the year. And then I think that's kind of been just a big surprise in the last few months. But I think that the Johnson one makes sense to me. He had the opportunity to play in, I believe, Australia, and got, I think, a $700,000 or $750,000 contract. When you're 18 years old to play pro, it's tough to say no to something like that. And, we speculated a little bit about the Holland situation, but I think AJ's was a little different, where it was sitting on the table for him.
Wow. So he's going to Australia to play in the national league that they have over there. And that is considered max money over there, getting $700K. And he probably only played 1 year and then turned pro from there. So losing these two high caliber recruits definitely hurts the recruiting class. So how are we going to fill it? Let's talk about it.
I mean,
the last guy that we were talking about.
I think, Roy?
What's that?
I think it's going to be hard moving forward, just general, with the landscape of college basketball, to really get a commitment from a guy and feel like he's coming there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to come down to the wire moving forward, I think, as far as guys actually going to the school they commit to, because there's so many moving parts with the NIL and overseas and G League, and it's not like it was back when like we would commit somewhere. We're coming there no matter what changes, no matter what happens, unless a coach, left or something like that. But I just think moving forward, the landscape of college basketball is going to be, especially recruiting, it's going to be totally different than it was in the past.
Yeah, I think the best comp on it is you look at college baseball, right? Like trying to build a team there. You get these kids that are top 5 recruit, top 10, 20, 25. And the odds that, with the MLB draft, like most of them are going to get guaranteed contracts, get drafted in the first 1 to 6 rounds. So it's almost like, just watching it from the outside, you've got, as these coaches, you got to go after the high caliber kids in the hopes that they're going to come.
Right.
But that your sweet spot's probably these, 100 to 200 ranked kids that are, going to get drafted in the 15th round in baseball or something like that, but have this higher, this high ceiling that they can build towards. And it's going to be fascinating. It's shifted the landscape of recruiting, of everything. And I think it's put a little more emphasis on the transfer portal and the older guys, because I think most of these guys are going to stay and they're going to look for a different opportunity, like what happened with Weaver and Onyema and a lot of these guys. So we'll see, but it definitely shifted, I think, the thinking and the approach and the strategy. It'd be fascinating if we can get some of these coaches on to talk a little bit about how you strategize, how you build a team, how you in essence general manage your program.
Right. That's all I was gonna say. You kind of got to be a coach and a general manager at the college level. Well, it's crazy.
Some schools hired a general manager to go into the transfer portal, go deal with the NIL deals. Like, that is too much for a coach to have on their plate, to be dealing with NIL and this and that. This kid is getting this amount of money and going out on the road to recruit. So I think it's either or. Like, you're going to have to build your team via the transfer portal or via recruitment. And what is happening is the middleman is really losing out. So if I'm a 2-star, I'm a 1-star, I'm not getting recruited. I'm not getting letters. Maybe I get a late push, like I got recruited in April. So now they changed the rule where you're a senior, you can play AAU, and these up-and-coming tournaments to see if you can get a scholarship.
Wow, so I didn't know that.
It's more the preference of the coach. What are you comfortable? Can you close deals in the transfer portal versus getting these younger guys? Like, to me, if I'm trying to save my job, I'm going through the transfer portal. Like, I know what I'm getting. These kids that I got to recruit, I got to confirm them. I got to mold these kids. It's a little bit different, And now coaches have two years, to get it right. 2 or 3 years to get it right. If not, they're gone. So I'm going to go with the sure hit and go in the transfer portal, go in the lower echelon conference, go get me a nice guard, and I'm going to piece it together with the guys that I already have, some holdovers, and hopefully that meshes. So that's kind of my approach of how I would kind of build out a team if I was coaching at the college level.
It's just like business. It's hiring proven talent versus up and coming talent, right? Like, it's like, you know what you're getting. You're going to probably pay a little bit more for getting proven talent versus unproven talent has this, it could be the greatest thing ever, but it also could be a terrible hire. And so I think there's a lot of comps in that for what they're going through.
And everybody's it's always potential. So this guy potentially could be the next Zion. The guy's going to run after that, but he might not get there. He might not take off, and then he might be a bust. So you're taking that risk, high risk, high reward, versus going after those younger recruits. And it depends what level you are. If you're a mid-major versus a low major, you don't have the same options. I feel it. If you're a high major, you can dip and dabble in the transfer portals and get kids all over the place, because there's always going to be kids in the transfer portal every year.
So, and I love it when we get guys that, like Abmas is going to be great. This is his only season, but you got Weaver, who just finished his freshman year. So I think he's got 2-3 more years at least. And then Onyema has 2 years. And I'm not positive on Shedrick. I think he might have 2 max. So like, I think a situation like that, look what happened this year, where you had guys like, you know, Marcus and Christian and Timmy that got to be in the program for 2 years. They kind of cut their teeth and figured it out that first year. And then that second year, they kind of came into their own. Everybody gelled, and really it was just, you know, jump on board. And I think that's part of the reason, you know, D. Mitch and Arterio's playing time suffered, is there was a lot of good chemistry with the older guys, and they, you know, they already knew how to play together, and they'd already been there. So I think it was kind of plug and play. How do we fill in? How do we max these minutes and you know, and try to not please everybody, but get everybody out there.
In the tournament, I'm not risking putting a freshman out there and to see, well, they played and, you know, Dylan Mitchell started, but your rope is a little bit shorter. And that's just what it is. And that's what we say. Like, you know, as your freshman year, you develop, then your sophomore year, and then this trust factor is built with the coach. So, you know, DJ played 2 years, I played 4 years. We had a trust factor with our coach. So he trusted us in different situations because we went through that experience together. See, these young kids don't go through the experience. You have to gain the experience to gain the trust. If you have no experience, you have no trust with the coach. So I can side with RT saying, well, I didn't recruit you and you're a young fella. I'm going to throw you out there for 5 minutes. If you don't shake it up and make it hot, I can't put you back in the game. Like, your objective is when you go in the game with 5 minutes, whether you play 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, or 5 minutes, you got to turn it up. And that's the mentality versus, oh, I need to play 20 minutes so I can get my rhythm. No, if you play your 5 minutes, you got to come out there and give it your all, go all out. And then it grows into 10 minutes. But see, that's the entitlement part. Because we continue to tell these kids how great they are. You're this, you're going to be a pro. No, you're not a pro until you turn a pro. You're not a pro in college until you get drafted. You have the potential to be a pro, but you're not a pro. So we got to stop lying to these kids and saying, you're a pro. You're not there until you get it, until you sign that contract.
But even everything you're saying, it translates to the professional level, because you know how it is, man, especially me and you, our careers in the NBA. We was never no stars, but the coach going to throw you out there for a minute, 2 minutes, take you out, put you back, 5 minutes. Like, you have to be ready at all times. You have to, somebody always told me you have to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And that's real, because, you know, you never know. You might not play a game. You might play 25 minutes the next game. Like, the NBA is so up in the air. I feel like if you can't handle that in college, you're not ready to be a pro, because nobody's going to walk into a professional level and just be a star out the gate. It's slim to none. It's slim to none. Unless you're a generational superstar or a Kevin Durant, a Giannis, and they had to develop into minutes. Right. But at the end of the day, when you come in this league and you're not top 5 and this and that, you're a role player. And that's what kids fail to realize. You can be a role player, be a star in your role, conquer that niche, and be good and take care of your family for life. But everybody wants to be a LeBron. Everybody wants to be a KD. Everybody wants to be Steph Curry. It's not like that. And then when you get here, it's a job. This is a business. College is a business too. But in the league, it's a business. So at the end of the day, if you don't do your job, they get rid of you and the next man comes in. Because guess what? That conveyor belt keeps on going. It keeps on going, and it's going to forever go. So at the end of the day, the mindset has to change with these younger guys. The entitlement has to be let go. Because if you have entitlement and you come up to the next level, they're going to chop you like wood, throw you away, burn you. It's over. So we got to change the mindset. We got to change the culture. And it's going to be tough, but it's doable. It's doable. You got to tell them the truth. That's the one thing. Stop lying to these kids. Tell them the truth.
Well, that was the most interesting thing that DJ said, was that he liked it. That Barnes told him, you're gonna have to earn it. You know, right. And there's a lot of kids that hear that and be like, all right, cool, I'll go somewhere else. Right. And instead of like, hey, let's go get this.
And guess what? Competition is everywhere. Everywhere. Competitors only. It's competition everywhere. It's everywhere you look, it's competition. You can't run from competition. So you got to face it up.
Awesome. Well, I think it's a good place to wrap this week. I think next week's episode, we're definitely Gonna try to have a special guest. I got a couple of prospects that are interested in doing it, but
who would you like to see on the podcast? That's my question. Like, who? Like, we need some feedback. We need some comments on who would you like to see. You know, we're gonna start knocking out some guys in the coming weeks, but we need some feedback on who would you like to hear from. You want to hear about their stories, what they had to offer. So at the end of the day, this has been a great podcast, and we're closing out.